This is Dieselnoi looking for a stick to go old school and intensify the training for the boys at the gym. These are our stadium fighters. And we invited Dieselnoi down to stay at the gym for a month and basically be an advisor. He couldn't find a stick, so he's got this glove. This is what he would be using the stick for. But this Kaimuay diary is going to be focusing on Dieselnoi's attention and training of Alex to get him ready for a fight. And then next month will be his training of Bank, who you can see on that second bag behind these two, who also fought in Bangkok after. So this one is focusing on Alex, and the next one will focus on Bank. Dieselnoi is the greatest knee fighter of all time, and considered by many to be the greatest of all time. He was undefeated at Lumpini for 4 years. Ultimately, nobody could beat him, and he had to retire, and his belt was vacated. But what he's telling the boys to do right now is to have rhythm and to kind of look more powerful even while they're trying to catch their breath. His intensity is just off the walls. Here he's helping Bank with his sit-ups. This is something that the boys do at the end of training all the time. Hitting the stomach for sit-ups is pretty standard, but the way that Dieselnoi is doing it is harder, and he's hitting in different areas. So this is kind of conditioning the body to receive impact. As a fighter, you're going to get kneed and punched and kicked as you're fighting. And so this is a desensitization and conditioning drill. But it's one of the many beautiful things about Dieselnoi is that whatever your normal training is, his version is this amped up, very intense version. He's hitting Bank on the back. I've never seen anyone do that. You can see that Bank is struggling a little bit. And when Dieselnoi came to the gym, we kind of knew that it was going to be this incredible experience just because his intensity is so high. But bringing him back in contact with active Muay Thai fighters, with living Muay Thai, we felt was really important for him because he's kind of in Bangkok, just kind of roaming around. He knows everybody, he's very social, but he's not continually in a gym dealing with active fighters, and he just comes alive when he's training these boys, and Pinu just totally gave them over to him. He does things in an old school way. He does things in a very intense way, and he kept yelling at the boys about how they recover and how they look between things. Even now, he's talking to them about how hard they're training. The way that team is bashing Bank on the stomach now, this is because Dieselnoi got tired from hitting Bank. He has a bad heart. And so this is kind of more standard for how this is done. But Dieselnoi, despite having had heart surgery a few years ago, just does not have a different level. He only goes to 11. So he took an interest in Alex and had been training Alex up for this fight at Rajadamnern. So this is in Pinu's car, the van. We're all driving up to Rajadamnern for Alex's fight. And Dieselnoi decided to go separately. He drove in his own car. So there was a little bit of a when are we going to see him? Is he going to be there kind of thing. But the way that the boys responded to Dieselnoi in the gym was kind of this incredible, like, they would bring their intensity to what he was asking for. And it was very hard. They were very tired, but it showed that it was in them. But again, like this way that Dieselnoi went separately, there were times that Dieselnoi would show up a little bit later, and the boys were kind of like, am I going to be off the hook today? And then he would walk in, and their faces would change because they knew that it was just about to be turned up a notch. So going to Lumpini, not knowing when Dieselnoi was going to appear, although we were sure we were going to be meeting him there, knowing that he was going to be in Alex's corner was this, like, you're going to put a tiger in the corner kind of thing. This is behind Rajadamnern. Everyone knows Lumpini Stadium. There are two national stadia in Bangkok, Lumpini and Rajadamnern. And we actually, because we were coming in the afternoon, we showed up during fight number 3, and Alex was fight number 5. So we're kind of hurrying in there because the show has already started and we're going to support Alex. He has trainers in there with him who have wrapped his hands and taken care of him all day. He weighed in the morning. But this is just showing a little bit of what the area looks like right behind Rajadamnern. I actually really like that area. It's very New York-like. Dieselnoi had come to the gym in December for my Muay Cow Summit, and he sat on the couch in the living room and watched Alex fight on TV with Bamrung, who's Pinu's dad, and he's the founder of the gym. He opened it in 1986. And so they're watching Alex on TV, and Alex actually has quite good knees. He's very long. He's like Dieselnoi in body shape, but he didn't go forward. And if there's anything that Dieselnoi makes you do and demands of you, it's to have this intensity and fierceness in everything you do, and you fucking go forward. And so when Dieselnoi watched that fight, he was like, I have to fix these things about Alex. This is the front of Rajadamnern that we're going into now. And this was when we first came in, so this is round 3 or 4 of the third fight, and already the gamblers are really excited. It was a pretty intense match, and I filmed this part to show what the corners look like. This is Raja. It's my favorite stadium. The wash of sound that comes from the gamblers is incredible. So the VIP is like right around the ring, and then what you're looking at up there is the gamblers. And what I was trying to film here in the corner is how animated the corner gets. They're screaming for every point that their fighter gets, and the opposite corner is trying to make as much noise or more noise when their fighter is making an effect. So it's basically getting the entire team involved. This is one of the reasons having Dieselnoi in your corner is this incredible thing, is that his amplification of intensity on literally everything, to have that in your corner is just it's unlike anything else. And it does have a little bit of nerve to it, like you don't want to disappoint Dieselnoi, and he demands so much intensity, but again, the boys were completely able to meet it. And look at the corner here. They're like cheering their fighter. Their fighter is in the blue. He does this chain of kicks, and they call out for every single strike. And then you'll actually see the opposite corner try to call out the stagnation as a point for him, but you'll see them get a little bit quieter. So this is Alex. He's Italian. He's 17 years old, and he's been living at the gym since he was about 12. He's been raised by Krunu, who's coming through right there. He's the head of the gym, the main trainer. And Alex came to Thailand when he was 12 years old. His mom died tragically while they were here, and it was shortly after that that he started into Muay Thai and was adopted into the gym and has completely been under Krunu's care and guidance. He's basically raised like a Thai boy in the gym, which is really incredible. He's fluent in Thai, and he has a name that's pretty well known in Bangkok because he is a Farang, that's what they call Westerners, who is good at Muay Thai. So as I was watching him, and it was the earlier rounds, so there was a lot of like talking rather than cheering. The gamblers kept talking about how it's unusual to have a Farang whose Muay Thai is so skillful. So they were complimenting Alex, but his weakness is that while he can do everything, he has beautiful Muay Thai and he has strong knees, he's a little bit noodle-armed. Like, they tease him at the gym and call him mozzarella because he does not have power in his strikes other than when he can get a really good knee into the rib. And the thing about when you've been raised in a gym, I'm sorry, I'm going to take a second. I thought this was interesting, this bag of ice that Carabao just brought over. You give this to the guy in the corner, and he unties it and puts it in the bucket. You're not in charge of your own ice and water. You give it to someone whose only job is to move that tray up and down and control the ice and water. The reason they have that is because fighters will get drugged occasionally because of gambling in order to have them unable to win a fight. So the way that Rajadamnern handles this is by delegating the handling of all ice and water to an official They don't do that at Lumpini, so I thought it was interesting seeing that here at Raja. But I was talking about how Alex has been at the gym for so long. When you have a fighter who you know really well and who you've been training, when they have certain weaknesses, you kind of just accept them as like, that's the way Alex is. Like, Alex is noodly armed. He has these flaws. But when you can bring in an outside eye or an outside influence, especially someone who's as powerful and influential as Dieselnoi, who's like, I can fix that. On the first day when he showed up and he was putting his eye on Alex and he was making Alex do these intense knees in the corner, he was screaming at him while he was doing pad work with Filippo, who holds pads for Alex. He's also Italian. He's a trainer at our gym. Having Dieselnoi there injecting this bring your level up, it's something that people who see you every day don't necessarily do. And Pinu and his father Bumrung, who founded the gym, were talking about how awesome it was to have Dieselnoi come in and he was going to like fix Alex. Right now, as the fight starts, Dieselnoi has not shown up yet, so not only is our corner kind of quiet because it's early rounds, and so the scoring here does not matter as much. This is just kind of a feeling out round. The gamblers are just chatting, like they're not placing their bets yet. So it's kind of like low energy in the corner earlier in the fight, and we're anticipating Dieselnoi coming. Like I was saying before, there were times at training where we were anticipating Dieselnoi showing up, and the second he walks in, the level rises, and the boys know that they've got to turn it up. Alex responded really well to Dieselnoi's attention on him while he was training him. Because Alex has it in him, he has that capacity, but he coasts in training, and he coasts in his fights. He only does as much as is necessary to kind of not get tired. So when Dieselnoi came and was demanding this intensity out of him that is the standard of Dieselnoi, like he does not let any kind of coasting happen at all, it was actually really beautiful to see. You could see this potential inside of Alex kind of be awakened, and by having our regular trainers see this in him too, it means that this growth can happen even when Dieselnoi goes home and is invited to come back to the gym anytime he wants. But it's this kind of reshaping of a fighter who has kind of found a groove. And Alex is young, he's 17, so he actually has quite a ways to go, quite a few years in him to become the kind of fighter that he's actually going to be. And because he already has the skill and he already has these beautiful knees, being able to put the intensity behind it is what makes an exciting and a beautiful fighter. Even though he has all this skill, I kind of find a lot of his fights boring because of the way that he coasts. But when I was watching him do pads with Dieselnoi yelling at him, I was like, God, that's exciting. Like, that is a fighter I would like to watch. And this is another thing about bringing Dieselnoi down, is that because he has all of this within himself, it's the same thing of like how you want to see Alex's potential, you want to see what that horse can really do. When Dieselnoi is just kind of wandering around Bangkok, going to the mall and getting his coffee rather than dealing with active young fighters, he's not able to give that potential to the next generation when he's just kind of wandering around Bangkok. So it was this really beautiful opportunity to bring him down and watch him interact with the boys, to see how Krunu remembered the way that he had grown up training and kind of bringing that back in, because he too, like everything finds equilibrium, and so the gym had kind of found this comfortable spot, and so knocking it out of its comfort zone by Dieselnoi's presence brought a lot of growth out of all of the boys, even though Alex was who he was focusing on getting ready for this fight. You can see Alex's length is really nice. This is something that Dieselnoi paid attention to when he was watching him. I think that when he saw Alex on TV that time in December when Alex lost because he wasn't coming forward, I think that Dieselnoi was assessing all of these things that he could make adjustments to and putting power and intensity into anything makes it so much better. I was sitting here in the corner, like, listening to the gamblers were kind of like chatting behind me. They were complaining that Alex doesn't have power. Now here's Dieselnoi. He comes strolling in. He knows literally everybody. He is just this, like, larger than life celebrity. Everyone loves him. He comes in, talks to the gamblers. He gets on his phone. He's actually calling gamblers and placing bets. He's, like, checking with people what round it is, and he's so comfortable everywhere he goes. He's just chatting with them. It's quiet enough because it's early rounds that he can do this. He had to go up and, like, actually touch hands with people when it got a little bit more animated. He has this bag with him. It's a bag full of vitamins that he had bought and had a friend bring that he could give to the boys. Like, he's all about taking care of the physicality of our fighters. He has this supremely painful stretching routine where he steps on your back and pulls your legs and arms up. He pushes so hard on your stomach. The amazing thing about it is it does actually help you breathe. It's this amazingly painful but incredibly effective way to bring vitality back to your body, that he as a fighter and he as a man knows these secrets of how to stay strong. And so the way that he cares after the fighter's body and the way that he must have taken care of himself, because even when he had no opponents, he stayed ready to fight at every moment. So now you can see the gamblers are getting a little bit more excited. They're starting to place their bets because we're going into round 3. Dieselnoi is going over. I think he's placing a bet here, but he also gets on his phone sometimes and calls someone who's up in the stands. But see how they're not even facing the ring? They're all, like, looking at the bookies and seeing what the odds are going in and deciding what they're going to place. This is why when you're sitting right in front of the ring, even though you have an amazing vantage point, if your back is to the gamblers, you have no idea what's going on. So now that it's round 3, this is a scoring round. So this is when the fight starts to actually take shape. So everything is more important at this point. And Dieselnoi went up before this round and told Alex that he wanted him to come forward. I'm trying to track Dieselnoi a little bit because he looks like he's not paying attention, but he's totally aware of what's going on. Alex got tripped on a kick there, and so there's a little bit of excitement coming up because Alex was a little bit in the lead, but those aren't huge points, but they can shape the way a fight goes pretty quickly. Like, they can flip on a dime. So you can see he's coming forward, but he lacks a kind of, like, threat or intensity, and that's what Dieselnoi was working with him on. When he was hitting pads and Dieselnoi was on him, he was just pushing him and pushing him to have this kind of, like, dog going after prey kind of feeling, which I'd never really seen in Alex before. Alex is very, like, noodly jai yin yin, very calm all the time. But to see it in him, see how Dieselnoi he's getting excited because he wants to see this intensity out of Alex already. This is round 3. This is when you start shaping everything. So he's keeping this length because he's really tall, but where he actually scores is in the knees. So he has to close that distance and land those knees. Dieselnoi's talking to someone who's up in the stands, but he has this look of concern on his face because to him, you should basically be shredding someone at every moment in the fight. When you watch Dieselnoi, there's very, very little footage of Dieselnoi fighting. When you watch his pad work, which there is footage of, when you watch even the clips of him that do exist, he is so like a thresher at every moment. And that's what he's trying to put into our fighters. You could see it in that first clip of him training the boys, how he wants them hitting the bag as hard as possible, and even when they're resting between things, he wants them to, the word is yundidi, which means to stand well. The way you stand between things matters. The way you take a single step forward matters. The way you breathe between rounds matters. That's the kind of intensity I'm talking about, and it's not over the top. It's detail oriented. He's looking into the stands. He's totally reading the entire space. This is what I was saying about people who are sitting there facing the ring. They're seeing what's going on in the ring, but people who are aware of the entire stadium, which is usually the people who are taking care of the corner, they're always looking back at the gamblers. They're always reading the entire space to see how the fight is playing out, how it's being read. The look on his face is so amazing. So now he's yelling at Krunu. He's going, I knew. He's like shouting to Pinu what he wants him to tell Alex. And so Alex is telling him, and then Dieselnoi comes over to tell him anyway, because he cannot help himself. Teep and knee. You don't have to speak Thai to know what Dieselnoi is talking about at any given time. It's like he speaks through his intensity, and you know exactly what he wants from you. Even as a Doi is his play name, so when you hear people yelling Doi, they're using his play name. They know him personally. Dieselnoi is his fight name. So Pinu has smelling oils on his hands that he puts on his hands and he puts in front of the fighter's face so that you can smell it between rounds. It kind of like opens up your lungs and wakes you up. And then he'll rub it on his hands and keep smelling it as he moves away. The man on the right is a promoter at Lumpini who knows Krunu really well. We fight with him at Lumpini, and he's here to support Alex. It's like totally just chatting with Krunu, and then all of a sudden turns on that like, Alex, do this whole thing. Look at him, point at him. Alex is like, he's looking at him, but he's got this like kind of doe-eyed expression. This is when Dieselnoi is a little bit, I don't know what the word is. It's not nervous, but when he's like feeling a little bit over the top, he scratches himself. If he's like scratching his head with both his hands, he's a little bit perturbed. So now you can see that Alex is pushing more with that knee. He's not teeping, which Dieselnoi just kept screaming at him for and actually yelled at him about after the fight. He wouldn't let it go. But this thing that he's doing with his arms is he's telling him to come forward, but he wants him to teep to control where the opponent is. A lot of us in the West think of teeps as being only a defensive strike, but it's actually super instrumental for a forward fighter, and especially for a knee fighter, because the teep, whether it's offensive or defensive, is changing the timing and controlling the distance of your opponent. Look at Dieselnoi. He feels everything. He like rocks his whole body when he's watching things. He's one of the few Golden Age fighters who I've talked to who still watches Muay Thai. A lot of them say they can't watch it anymore, that it's boring and that it's changed too much. He's still completely watching Muay Thai all the time. He would text me at like 10:30 at night and be like, you need to turn on channel 23 right now. It's like, I don't have a TV, but I would try to find it online to see what he was looking at. Teep. See how Alex is using his jab to try to set up? That's what Dieselnoi wants him to be using the teep for. So even these small things, like use your length. This is one of the reasons that Dieselnoi was such a nightmare to fight. Krongsak, who was the last two fights of Dieselnoi's career, Krongsak drew the first time that they fought, and then the second time he lost on points. And he said the second time Dieselnoi had changed the way he was fighting him. In the first fight, he had come forward a lot, and in the second fight, he started teeping a lot and wouldn't come forward, and so Krongsak lost significantly in the second one because of this teep. So the way that Dieselnoi is yelling for this teep, he's remembering and feeling within his body what his control of a fight is, what he's learned from his fights. He gets really agitated. He's cornered for me, I think, twice, and he gets really irritated, and he like walks around and paces and screams and then like kind of goes and does all these things. He's very I don't know. Oh, he's very excited now. Teep. If he teeps first, it off balances his opponent and it's easier for him to grab for that knee. And because he's so long, he can throw that knee from farther away, like he doesn't have to stay so close. And the opponent is actually tripping him when he's only on one leg while he's trying to throw the knee. But if he teeped him first, the distance would be such that he couldn't be tripped on that. At Rajadamnern, we're in this little corral here, and during the fight, like while the fight is going, they close the gates so you can't move and people can't circle around. So if your seat is on the other side of the ring, you have to wait until the round stops and then they'll open the gate and you can go. But so you'll see Dieselnoi and Krunu, when the round stops and it's between rounds, they'll go around the gate. Dieselnoi is inside the corral and Krunu is outside the corral, and so Dieselnoi's screaming, doesn't know whether Alex is listening to him or not, so he's going to yell at Krunu to say it to him also. But there's this kind of amazing thing in that Krunu is the head of the gym. Krunu is the main trainer. He's basically like Alex's guardian, but Dieselnoi is older than him, and he told me that when Dieselnoi was staying there, he had this feeling like they were brothers. And so he actually waits for Dieselnoi to say whatever he wants to say, and then Krunu goes. So even though he has status as the trainer and as the head of the gym, he's giving status to Dieselnoi as the older man, as his older brother, and as the legend that he is, to give him priority in placement of going and talking to Alex. I love watching him. I was just staring at him the entire time. I honestly watched much less of Alex's fight because I was watching what Dieselnoi was doing and telling him to do. Something that Gary, who is a 50-year-old man who trains at our gym, he's not a fighter, but he was watching Dieselnoi train the boys, and he said something that I thought was really accurate. He said that Dieselnoi is incredibly harsh, but positive. So, like, he's screaming and yelling at Alex to do these things, and he will not relent that Alex is not teeping. But he's really enthusiastically positive about, like, you could teep. Like, you could turn this around. You could be a fucking monster at any given second. He's very encouraging, despite the fact that he's so critical. So now Alex is teeping, and you'll actually, if the sound was up, you could hear Dieselnoi going, like every time he actually teeps, he's like, yes, that's what I've been asking for this whole time. But when I filmed earlier, the entire corner cheering and throwing their arms in the air, like they're making a big deal, and they're making like a big performance out of encouraging their fighter and cheering for what their fighter is doing. Dieselnoi has that same animated intensity, but he's not performing for anybody. Like, he is directing his attention directly at the fighter. It's like he could be sitting on the sofa in an empty room watching TV, and he would have that exact same intensity screaming at his television set because he feels it. So this is round 5, and so you'll see it gets quiet again. Like, when people know who's winning the fight already, it's not super animated anymore, and so there'll be kind of the murmurings that were going on in the earlier rounds because it's basically set. Like, unless this guy knocks Alex out, he kind of doesn't have any chance of winning this fight, and so people will already be exchanging their money. Dieselnoi is already having a chat with somebody. Like, people are kind of just waiting the round out. But this is part of the performance of Muay Thai. Like, if you don't know that you're ahead and you perform incorrectly, it's like you didn't follow the conversation and you're not closing out the conversation that you had. So Filippo and Krunu are still watching intently because they want to see if Alex is doing the things that they're asking him to do. But by this point, there's really not a chance of him losing this fight. And so a lot of people are kind of checking out. Dieselnoi is probably contacting the guy he placed a bet with so that he can pick up his money later. You can see how that teep works. Because this is the 5th round, the guy's not coming forward as much anymore because he knows he's lost. But if Alex had been using this same teep earlier, which is what Dieselnoi had been calling for, he would have been controlling him the entire time. Look at that wiggle that he just did is one of my favorite things that Dieselnoi does. He's talking about the gumbiness, the like mozzarella noodly armedness of Alex. That wiggle he does is not unique to Alex. He didn't come up with that to complain about Alex's lack of strength. He's said it to me because when I clinch, I goom, which means that I like curl my body or like hunch over. And he does that wiggle and makes this sound that doesn't sound anything like, but if I were to say that it sounded like something, it's like the sound of oatmeal being stirred. It's this like, he wants this strength and intensity in the very posture of the fighter. He wants it when you're breaking. He wants it when you're breathing. He wants it when you're between strikes. And he hates this like mushy wiggliness, which he felt in his opponents when he was clinching them and they could not stand up to him. He felt that mushiness and he hates it. So he's like very adamant about being strong in your posture at all times. It's one of the reasons that his Muay Thai and his honor and masculinity that he expresses in his Muay Thai is every second. He is like the ultimate cowboy. It's like the John Wayne of Muay Thai. So when you've finished, everyone clears out. The next fight is coming in, and we go back to the staging area to take photos. When you buy a VIP seat, it gives you the possibility to go take photos with the winning fighter as well. So sometimes other people will come back here, and you have to wait your turn. Even though it's your fighter, you have to wait for the fans to clear out. Pinu is very happy here because he's getting a lot of shine having Dieselnoi on TV. So Alex is being interviewed by Sports TV right now about his fight, and Dieselnoi's standing right next to him, and he's pulling these faces because he's not happy with how Alex fought, despite the fact that Alex won. Again, it's this like super harsh, but super positive. Like, he's going to criticize Alex. He's talking about how he didn't teep, he wasn't strong enough, he wasn't ferocious. All of these things are real, but none of it is you're lacking as a person. All of it is you can fix these things by turning up the intensity. But this is a beautiful moment. Alex is too young to really know who Dieselnoi is, for him to really recognize what that opportunity is, for him to have this legend in his corner, training him up to this fight, cornering for him in the fight, giving him this critique. Of everyone standing there in front of the cameras, Crew Nu knows what this is, what this opportunity is, what this means for Alex as a fighter, for his gym to have Dieselnoi in the corner. And I was like beaming at this moment of Dieselnoi being able to be interviewed at a stadium the way that he was back in the day. He was actually a very adroit, avid trainer. Because he had no... he's doing that wiggly thing again. Look at Pinu laughing at it. When he was young and still a fighter, he had no opponents. Nobody would fight him. But he was an active trainer while he was still technically a fighter. So he trained a lot of these men who themselves were top fighters at the time when he was like 21, 22 years old. So the Ha Palang gym were under his care, and you'd see him in their corner. If you watch these old fights from the Golden Age, he's like leaping into the corner. He's as animated as if it's his own fight. It's incredible. I filmed this also because Gengat is in the ring now. He's another one of our fighters. He's young. He's like 16 years old. And Dieselnoi didn't train him. He didn't have much interaction with him, I think, at all at the gym. Gengat comes a little bit late because he has to finish school before he gets to the gym. So Dieselnoi does not know him, and he went and he sat down, but look at how he can't help himself. This is what I'm talking about how if he were at home watching on TV, I like to imagine that when he was texting me at 10:30 and telling me to turn on the TV, he's just sitting in his hotel room watching TV, this animated. But he's yelling for Gengat to use his long left. He does not give complicated instruction. Like, he's not like, do a flying jump knee. He's totally giving like very clean, dominant, strong advice, and he's screaming it like, why would you not follow this? It's brilliant. And he does it in training as well because he wants to see the confidence and sureness out of these fighters that he had to build in himself. Here he finally went up to the ring and was telling Gengat what he wanted from him. He couldn't sit down, like he couldn't keep himself seated. He needed to go give him this. He told me, Dieselnoi told me that when he first started fighting, he was like maybe 12 years old, and he had an older brother who was significantly older than him, and he went to live with him down in Rayong, which is close to Pattaya. It's maybe like 40 minutes away, but it's a fishing area as well. And he went down and lived with his brother, and his brother was really into Muay Thai, which is why he started. And he said that it was one of his early fights, and he had knocked the guy out in like round 3. And as he was coming out of the ring, his brother smacked him behind the head and said, "You teeped like shit. Why don't you teep?" So Dieselnoi's version of teep, 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 and being critical to the boys even when they win, even when they're doing well, it is not the same as his brother, who is incredibly harsh to him. That's where he has this like positivity and love and enthusiasm. But his intensity is real. It's been there forever. Right now, he's actually bragging about me to this guy who's standing next to him and a guy who's standing next to me. He's saying that I'm the only Farang who comes to Thailand and fights bigger Thais all the time. He's like, she's the only Farang who's smaller, and it's all the time. He's very prideful and critical of the fact that I fight bigger people all the time. He says it's completely unfair and he hates it and he wants it to change, but he also brags about it to other people all the time. So I think he's of divided mind about it. See how he's like in the middle of this conversation and checking to see whether Gengat is doing what he told him to do. The stadium is actually largely empty at this point. It was the very last fight, and a lot of people had already cleared out. I swear to God, if literally every person had left and Dieselnoi was just sitting in this chair, look at how he's like pushing himself into the back of it. It's like when people are playing video games and they use their entire body to steer the remote instead of just their thumbs. Like, for someone who's so physically invested in everything that's going on, it's incredible how calm he was in all of his fights, like completely unperturbed by everything. We watched a fight of his with him when he fought Sagat, and as we were watching it, he was telling me how pissed he got when Sagat uppercutted him, and it's like he got pissed again. Like, sitting with him probably 30 years later, he was still angry. Look at him yelling at Krunu, and Krunu's laughing and smiling as he's making his way to the ring to convey the same message that Dieselnoi is screaming 4 rows up to tell him to do. This is, in the corner is Gengat's older brother, who's crouched down, and his cousin, who lives with him. They've both been in a previous Kaimuay diary, Gengat and Bao. But this is one of the things about Muay Thai, the same way that Dieselnoi got into it because his brother was into it and basically was like, had his brother in his corner. It's a family affair. Like, Gengat having his brothers as his corner, Krunu bringing his son, Krunu taking care of Alex. It's an investment that's very personal. And so when we brought Dieselnoi down for a month and like put him in the gym and was like, let's see where these connections are made, the way that he was embraced by the gym and the generosity he had towards the fighters because he wanted them to do well, he ended up staying an extra week from what we had scheduled for him because he wanted to help Bank. Bank had a fight coming up, and even though Dieselnoi was like, okay, scheduled to leave on a certain date and was supposed to go to Ayutthaya for an event, he decided that he was invested in Bank's training, and he wanted Bank to win because he had strong feelings towards Krunu and the gym. He's like, I feel responsible for these kids now, which says a lot about Dieselnoi. It says a lot about the gym, and it says a lot about Muay Thai, that the investment that trainers and fighters have in the next generation and in living Muay Thai is a very real, very strong thing. Dieselnoi is like sitting there checking his phone and then looking up and getting just as agitated by what's going on or cheering as though he's watching it every second. It's his entire life. He's a really beautiful man. I really love him, and I was very happy that he had such a strong connection to the fighters at the gym and to the gym itself.
When you fighter, you know
So here's
Dieselnoi,
interviewing
ใช่ไหม
Krunu about having
You
Dieselnoi
see
there.
him on TV?
no
No.
ได้ยินชื่ออย่างเดียวได้ยินชื่อ เคยเห็นรูปในหนังสือมวย
When he come to the gym now, do you think นักมวยวัยรุ่นรู้เรื่อง Dieselnoi ไหม
ไม่รู้
ไม่รู้เรื่อง
ใช่แต่ว่าต้องบอก
อืม
เพราะว่าที่ลิโป้ยังไม่รู้เลย
เหรอ
ไม่รู้เมื่อก่อน ก็อธิบายแล้วก็ มีรู้เคยได้ยินชื่อ แต่ไม่เคยเห็นชก
อืม
แล้วก็สำหรับเด็กๆไม่รู้จัก แต่ว่า รุ่นผมรู้จัก ผมรู้จักแล้วก็สมัยนั้นนะตอนผมชกมวยใหม่ๆผมรูปร่างสูงคล้ายดีเซลน้อยแต่ว่าเป็นมวยเมื่อก่อนเป็นมวยฝีมือแล้วก็เป็นมวยเข่าแล้วก็เวลาชกก็อยากคือทำเป็นแบบไอดอลเป็นคือน้าอังเคิลเขาเพศอยู่ตรงตีเขาแบบนี้นะเหมือนดีเซลน้อยนะเขาเคยดูดีเซลน้อยเคยเห็นดีเซลน้อยชกอยู่ต้องทำแบบนี้ต้องตีเข่าเหมือนกันแบบนี้อยู่ตัวสูงต้องทำแบบนี้แต่ผมรู้สึกโอเคต้องทำเหมือนกันได้ยินชื่อแล้วก็คือต้องทำสไตล์แบบนี้แต่ไม่เคยเห็นชกเห็นแต่รูปในหนังสือมวยแล้วโอเคเราต้องเป็นสไตล์แบบนี้
ตัวนี้เขามาค่ายมวยบางครั้งคุณหนู Dieselnoi สอน together ใช่ไหม
ใช่
แล้วก็ตัวนี้คุณหนูรู้สึก Dieselnoi แข่งเขาบัมรู้สึกยังไง
แบบไหนไม่เข้าใจ
because you never see video
ไงวะ
but now you feel for real แข็งแรงไหม
แข็งแรงมาก
เจ็บ
อายุเยอะแล้วแต่ว่าเป็นคนมีพรสวรรค์เกี่ยวกับความแข็งแรงเป็นคือในตัวเองใช่เขาแข็งแรงมากผมจับแล้วคอแข็งมากผมรู้สึกเพราะว่าปกติผมกับง่ายๆฝรั่งตัวใหญ่ง่ายๆแต่อันนี้แข็งมากใช่เขาแข็งแรงมาก
ที่พูดว่าแล้วอาจารย์อยู่1 เดือนแต่ว่าดีกว่าเขาอยู่1 ปี2 ปีเรียน
ใช่คือถ้าเป็นไม่ได้คือเขาอยู่ด้วยแล้วดีรู้สึกดีเขาโอเคคือเป็นคนโตเป็นผู้ใหญ่เป็นเหมือนพี่ชายคุยกันคือ feeling ดีแล้วก็เป็นผู้ใหญ่ที่น่านับถือแบบคุยกันสบายๆไม่ใช่ซูเปอร์สตาร์แต่ว่าไม่คุยอันนี้เป็นคนง่ายๆสบายคุยกันสนุก
ก็มาจากศิลปะใช่ไหม
ใช่เหมือนคือเหมือนพี่ชายคนหนึ่งคุยกันดีแล้วก็กับนักมวยที่ค่ายเด็กๆซ้อมเหนื่อยแต่สนุกเข้าใจไหมแบบเหนื่อยแล้วก็สนุกแล้วก็เด็กชอบคือโอเคครับเป็นไม่ได้อยู่นานๆเป็นปี2 ปี3 ปีเหมือนคือเหมือนญาติคนหนึ่งเหมือนพี่คนหนึ่งผมว่าดีนะ
คิดว่าDieselnoiสอนที่ค่ายมวยดูแลเด็กนักมวยพัฒนาขึ้นไหม
ในช่วงเวลาแค่3 อาทิตย์ในตอนนี้ดีขึ้นเด็กมีพัฒนาดีขึ้นรู้จักคือมีเขาสอนว่าต้องตีเข่าแบบนี้ต้องทำแบบนี้ใช้ แรงแบบไหนคือเด็กมีความเข้าใจง่ายแล้วก็เขาคือแบบพื้นฐานเข้าใจไหมพื้นฐานเกี่ยวกับชกมวยเขาเป็นคนศรีราชาผมอยู่พัทยาคือใกล้ๆกันเรียนมาคล้ายๆกันผมตอนชกมวยตอนซ้อมมวยก็คล้ายๆกันเขาเวลาเขาเล่าให้ฟังโอเคเราก็มีประสบการณ์เรียนรู้มาแบบนี้เหมือนกันแล้ว
สไตล์ดิสหน่อยพี่จำได้ใช่ไหมเวลาพี่เป็นนักมวยเขาทำแรงใช่ไหมซ้อมแบบนี้
ใช่เมื่อก่อนผมก็ทำแรง
ตัวนี้ไม่ม้วนกันใช่ไหมเวลานักมวยซ้อมไม่ม้วนกันเมื่อก่อน
ใช่ไม่เหมือนเมื่อก่อน
ชอบไหมดิสหน่อยมาทำ
ดีกว่าดีขึ้นทำให้เด็กแข็งแรงขึ้นมาก
แบบนี้ทะเลาะเวลาไม่ได้ใช่ไหม
โน่เขาซ้อมแข็งแรงจริงแต่ว่าแบบไหนคือมีสนุกไม่ใช่เครียดอันเดียว
ใช่ค่ะเครียดยกเลิก
ใช่อันนี้ไม่ได้เครียดสนุกแต่ว่าไม่เครียดคุณเข้าใจไหมสนุกแต่ว่าไม่เครียดแบบเหนื่อยแต่ว่าสนุก
เมื่อคืนนี้ไปดูอเล็กจบราชดำเนินดิสหน่อยทีมมุมด้วยพี่เลี้ยงด้วยที่ว่าอะไรดิสหน่อยอยู่ภูมิใจไหม
ดีมากรู้สึกคือเราในชีวิตนะชกมวยก็มวยตั้งแต่เด็กรู้จักดีเซนน้อยตั้งแต่เด็กนะเขาเป็นซุปเปอร์สตาร์ทุกคนรู้จักไม่คิดว่าวันหนึ่งถึงวันนี้จะได้อยู่ด้วยกันสอนมวยอยู่ที่เดียวกันเข้าใจไหมแล้วก็คือไม่คิดเคยเห็นเขาแต่ว่าเห็นไกลๆไม่ได้คุยไม่ได้อะไรอันนี้คือแล้วอยู่ที่เดียวกันแล้วก็สอนนักมวยด้วยกันแล้วก็สไตล์นักมวยคล้ายๆกันแล้วก็ดีใจมากนะเพราะว่าคือเราเดินสายทางนี้เป็นนักมวยเราเป็นตอนนี้เราเป็นเทรนเนอร์แล้วมีสมัยก่อนตอนชกมวยก็มีดีเซลน้อยเป็นแบบอย่างเกี่ยวกับชกมวยแล้วก็ตอนนี้ได้อยู่ด้วยกันสอนมวยด้วยกันแล้วก็เวลามวยชกที่ราชดำเนินก็มาสอนอยู่ด้วยกันดีใจมาก
ซึ่งดีว่าถ้าดิสหน่อยมาดูแลแบงค์น้องที่แบงค์เป็นแชมป์แน่นอน
ใช่คืออันนี้กับแชมป์เนี่ยมันต้องมีโปรโมเตอร์มีคนสนับสนุนเพื่อที่จะได้เป็นแชมเปี้ยนแต่ว่าข้อหนึ่งคือถ้าดีซีน้อยมาอยู่แบบนี้เด็กแข็งแรงแน่นอนแล้วก็มีพัฒนาที่ดีขึ้นแน่นอนใช่เพราะว่าถ้ามีคนสนับสนุนที่ดีแล้วก็เด็กชกดีขึ้นโอกาสเป็นแชมเปี้ยนมีสูงใช่อย่างเด็กๆรักเขาชอบเขาใช่
เด็กไม่น่ากลัวไหม
ไม่มีใครกลัวดีเซน้อยสนุกคือโอเคเวลามาดีเซน้อยมาแล้วตกใจเฮ้ยมาแล้วเหนื่อยอีกแล้วโอเคแต่ว่าเด็กแฮปปี้สนุกใช่สนุก
ที่ไปชกมวยมีร็อกมีอเล็กมีเกงกัดเวลาดิสหน่อยไม่ไกลๆเวทีแต่ว่าเขาอยากได้พูดอะไรบ้างเขาบอกว่าไอ้นูที่รู้สึกว่าอะไรเวลาดิสหน่อย
ใช่เรียกเหมือนพี่ชายเรียกใช่เป็นใช่ผมรู้สึกแบบนี้นะ
แล้วก็พี่เห็นใจเขาพูดว่าอะไรที่คิดว่าทำได้ดีใช่ไหมต้องเดะต้องทีบ
ใช่ใช่คือการ สอนมวยทำมวย คือผมบอกแล้วว่าคล้ายๆกัน เหมือนกัน เวลาเดิน เวลาสอนจะโอเคบางอย่างอาจจะมีนิดหน่อยแต่ว่าเหมือนกันใช่ เพราะว่าเป็นมวยสไตล์เหมือนกัน อย่างเมื่อคืนเนี่ยอเล็กชกอเล็กก็เป็นมวยสไตล์คล้ายกันกับผมคล้ายๆกันดีเซลน้อยเป็นมวยเข่าใช่ไหมไม่ใช่มวยฝีมือ ก็เวลาสอนก็จะคล้ายๆกันแบบนี้ใช่
ใช่ก็วันแรกดิสนอยมาเขาเห็นคุณหนูบนเวทีเขาบอกซินดี้คนนี้คนขายนี่บอกว่าหัวหน้าขายมวยคุณหนูเขาบอกว่าโอ้คุณหนูถูกเก่งมากเขาเป่าเก่งมากที่ว่าอะไร
คือก็รู้สึกดีใจเพราะว่าผมทำมวยสอนมวยผมก็อยากให้เด็กได้ดีแต่ผมไม่รู้หรอกว่าผมสอนออกมาแบบไหนแต่ผมก็อย่าพยายามทำให้ดีที่สุดเวลาสอนใครทุกคนเราอยากให้เขาดีขึ้นแต่เราก็ไม่รู้ว่าเราสอนแบบไหนใช่ไหมแต่บางครั้งเราไม่ได้ไปดูที่ค่ายอื่นเราอยู่ที่นี่อย่างเดียวแต่ว่าดีเซลน้อยไปทุกที่ก็บอกว่าโอเคดูแบบนี้โอเคผมเป็นน้องโอเคเวลาพี่บอกว่าอ๋อหนูแบบนี้ไม่ดีนะโอเคผมทำแบบนี้แบบไหนดีโอเคผมจะฟังพยายามท
ำโอเคขอบคุณมากค่ะ
เรียบร้อย
So that is part 1 of 2. The next one is also covering Dieselnoi getting Bank ready for his fight at Rajadamnern. And he trained Bank incredibly closely. It was really beautiful. So thank you so much to the patrons who have made this possible, bringing Dieselnoi down to the gym for a month. It was so good for Dieselnoi. It was so good for the gym. It was really good for Crew New. I can see it in the way that he reminisces and thinks about it, and he definitely wants Dieselnoi to come back. And stay tuned for the next episode, which will cover Bank. Thank you guys.